We are here at Paloma Suerte in the stockyards. This is part of, if you haven't been here before, this is part of what was known or is known as Mule Alley. And when they call it Mule Alley, it's not just a cute nickname.
No.
These literally right over here were mule barns, even just a couple of years ago, where the Army would apparently, a lot of pack animals. I heard, by the way, at the White Elephant, in the millions, 6 to 8 million head of cattle moving through here.
Tony said that, right? Yeah.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
But that's what was here. So this is one of Tim Love's ventures. I wanted to go here because I feel like there is something very important about any meeting of great minds like this on any night out in town, which is the happy hour meetup.
Absolutely.
The way to kick off the night.
Yeah, and this is absolutely a Fort Worth starter kit to a proper Saturday
Heck yes.
night.
Oh, yeah.
Chips and queso, margaritas and palomas. Yes.
That's right, exactly. It's funny too, because when I was thinking about this whole setup, when I was in New York, now, again, not to put down New Yorkers, nothing against them, but what I was served in New York did not look like this. We were at a very proper pub called McSorley's, and they served us a plate full of saltine crackers, white onions, and mustard.
Oh, I think I'm out on that.
And
No,
everybody was eating it, so we ate it too, thinking maybe it's better than it looks.
No,
it was not.
It's not.
No.
And it is not a great date night item. Just also, just to put that out there, not
I'm
the
sure
best
not.
date night.
Hey, Brett, you need some Tic Tacs after
maybe a
that.
sardine over the top would have wrapped it up, but anyways.
No.
But welcome to Paloma Suerte.
Yep. And we have John Nottingham with MK Homes, a local custom builder, and we are so excited to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, thanks for meeting me out here.
Yeah.
So, tell us, John from Ohio.
Throw me under the bus.
Why would someone come to Texas and choose a custom home builder?
Yeah, so first part is obviously coming from Ohio. One of the reasons I came here was we have family here. So MK Homes, we're a family-owned company. My uncle and aunt, Mike and Kelly, actually stand for the M and the K in MK Homes.
Very cool.
So that's the family-oriented, community-based, historic, everything about Fort Worth and Weatherford, where we're located, is the reason that we came down here and love it.
When I started working with MK Homes, actually, it was about 10 years. Mike and Kelly, MK Homes were coming out of. They're one of the maybe 3 builders, custom builders in the area that survived through the 2008 and 9 housing crisis. And so, Parker County and where they build a lot west of here is a small enough community, as y'all know, that you can't be running business mad and not managing money smart and survive all that. So they've worked here. But before we go too much further, I have to ask you one question. How long before you moved here, before you decided, okay, I'm diving in and getting a cowboy hat?
Yeah. So I actually, I didn't want to be a poser.
Right,
so
like
I didn't.
me. I get it. It was implied.
Knowing you,
it's okay. It's okay. I got skinny jeans. It's fine. Go ahead.
Not a true cowboy.
That's right. So
Make it till you're making
yeah,
Right,
I
10 more years.
don't act like and I don't wear it often, but I did go and buy one.
Okay.
And it was after my first calf branding party. So we all went out to the ranch and we helped, get the medicine into the new calves, and I assisted with that. So after that, I thought that was my, stamp of Texas approval. That's right.
Yes.
So
Texas.
You're more Texan than me because I have never done that and I've lived in Texas all my life.
Seems a much better reason than my reason, which is just I'm sick of burning my bald head around town. No one wants to see that big Charlie Brown nugget up there. So, okay. You guys have been building for over, I think early 2000, about 2003?
we moved down here in 2003. Mike and Kelly started MK Homes. I think it was 1996, originally in Ohio. So.
Yeah. Well, and we're talking about the way to start off a good night, but I do think an important thing, a lot of customers you are working with, maybe a third are coming from out of town, which is a new thing, out of state, people moving here. So for people that are moving or new to Fort Worth and they've looked around areas, they don't really feel like they found what they're looking for. A lot of them are heading out west of Parker County. So west of downtown here, west of the stockyards, out to y'all's neck of the woods, out to y'all's
lots of growth out there.
Westernplex.
Yes.
So as they move out there, what do you usually advise people when they call you, they've seen your website, what do you tell them this is a good starting place for them?
Yeah, and we love when folks get a hold of us early and we can work with, if they're represented with a realtor and get in really at those starting stages, because we have a lot of connections with local developers, and we know kind of everything, along with real estate agents, on what's out there, what's being developed, what's just now cutting roads in and coming. So
you guys are in probably about 8 or 10 neighborhoods now?
We own lots in about 8 or 10, but we have access to just about all of them.
Do you build on site? Like if somebody had a lot and you...
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So
that's good.
we provide lots, or if they own a lot and want to buy that, we can do whatever. So that's the experience that we're trying to provide, is a completely custom experience. And we do work with a lot of folks coming from out of town. Some of them have never stepped foot in Texas until they're getting keys to their new home that we built completely custom for them from 700 miles away.
And you don't buy them a cowboy hat at that point with the keys?
You totally should coin that. I mean, you totally should.
That's a great idea.
Give them like the closing package. Like boots, hats.
Yeah.
Well, so as you're going through and you're looking at, you guys are in these different neighborhoods, you said something about custom home. I think we assume you talk about specs, you talk about custom home. Specs being a house that you guys build, you guys think this is the right house for this neighborhood that should sell, but that's a house that you basically build. Maybe you have a deposit on it, but still you build it out and then you sell that house at the end. What does it mean? What's the difference for a customer that hadn't considered this route? What does it mean to be a true custom builder or a custom home versus a spec home or a track home or a production home that they might see?
And we do both. We're mainly custom home builder, but we have some specs, and specs are just that, it's speculative. So I'm doing my best and my team's doing our best to speculate on what you're gonna like in your bathroom or what you're gonna like for your flooring. And so we try to use market analysis to get that as close as to what people are wanting and trends and things of that nature.
Right.
So they're not going to be like out there things. They're not going to be like super personal, what I would think I would choose versus what you would choose.
And we stay on up-to-date trends and stuff like that. But we try to stay pretty neutral so that the masses are going to really like those specs. On the second end is custom homes, which we're known for in the Parker County, and we have great reputation and things of that nature. But that is completely custom. So we have trade partners, vendors, and subcontractors that a lot of them we've been working with for over 20 years. So they know our work, we know their work, we work together and create a really good customer experience, especially if they're out of town. And some builders are semi-custom, as I like to coin it, where you can pick A, B, or C granite countertop, or you're going to pick from these 3 types of floors. Whereas you'll go out and meet with our vendors and subcontractors and select exactly what you want.
Right. What is that process from the time that someone says, okay, I found land, I want to use MK Homes. They start on the design process. What about does that turn time look like?
From depending on lending,
if they're staying after it, they're communicating with you. Is it 6 weeks? To go through the design process where you could turn in your plans and have your plans and budget final, 6 weeks? 8 weeks?
I call them my secret weapon. We actually have an architect from out of state who's able to get some plans drawn up for us literally in 2 weeks.
Right.
So from that point, and it's approved. If we have to go through a revision, we can get those done. But if, let's say the first revision is approved, I can get a price over to them, another week after that.
Yep.
So we're talking 3 weeks. It takes, 30, 45 days to close on the lot. So my goal is once that lot is chosen, I will have them a price for the build within that 30 to 45 day timeline.
Now, I think another part of it too, like when you guys go out, I know you guys a lot of times are involved in a lot transaction. They may not tie in a builder at the time, but what we try to do on the lending side is when your customers or you send customers our way is to get them pre-qualified for the entire build. Because sometimes I don't get the call until after they bought the land, and then when I go through the financing terms, they're not so happy with my.
Doesn't make sense.
No, it does, or it doesn't flat out work. Sometimes. So, I do recommend people getting pre-qualified, but that comes to a tricky part. And let me just say, I can't tell you the number of times that MK Homes has been that, because they do draw from a marketing perspective. They get a lot of referrals, more out of state than most of mine. But what I also find is the number of times that they get talked to about what are your costs.
Right.
So builders don't like having this conversation, but as a bracket, can you just think wide picture? Let's talk about, we talked before about when you're looking at land. So 1 acre to 2 acre tracts is what most people are finding in subdivisions in Parker County.
Yeah.
how might you differentiate like land up on the north end of Parker County versus south? Because it's a huge county.
It is a huge county.
What did you say? It's one of the fastest. What's the number on
Parker County is the ninth fastest growing county in the United States.
Yes.
It's been keeping us busy.
And I would say in the past like 3 or 4 or 5 years, it's like blown up.
And you're talking still just less than 200,000 people in there, and still it's fastest by
150,000.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you're talking land, if you told somebody, wouldn't you say maybe the north part of Parker County land, where to start an acre in the north part of Parker County, where might you see it as a bottom end bracket?
We're talking, starting probably in that $75,000 to $80,000 for a single acre.
Okay.
In a lot of the neighborhoods we're in now, you can go and get, something a little bit smaller, a tract home that they're just doing specs. You can probably get something a little cheaper. But if you're looking to build a true custom home, they're probably starting around 75, 80 grand for a single acre in the north side.
And most, it seems like, again, if you're looking at a map, straight out 30, right, or straight out 20, and you're talking north and south. On the north end, I see more 1 acre tracts in those subdivisions, whereas when you get on the south end, you're seeing more 2 acre tracts as you go south and west, right?
Yes.
Is a good way. So what are you seeing for 2 acre tract? What might be the average or high end there that they might see?
Yeah,
I mean, you're looking $150,000 to $400,000
just depending on the terrain and what you get on your lot.
What
Yeah.
you're getting,
and
what
that's
subdivision, what school district. There's a lot of factors that vary there.
100%. And everyone has something different that they're wanting. Maybe this guy likes the trees on the lot, and
or restrictions even. Like they want to know the restrictions. Can they have livestock? Can they have a building, like an outbuilding?
A lot of these neighborhoods west of Fort Worth people are going to want to be able to keep livestock on. Cattle, horses, whatever.
And an ag exemption to cut their taxes.
That's right. Being the
Texas.
Cutting horse capital of the world.
Absolutely.
We're heavily into that area, so we'll build barns and shops and houses, pools, fences, the whole nine. So that's something that we specialize in as well. But you're 100% correct.
Now this is the question that I know you hate to answer, but without you having to answer it, so you don't paint yourself in a corner somehow, and then everybody's going to come to you. But you said, would you say that as an agent, when you're trying to get somebody pre-qualified, there's the tricky part, right? Like first of all, what bank you work with, which obviously Cowtown Banker has the perfect solution for that problem. But it does. The first question I ask them is, what is the range of what they're talking about? Some people have an idea what they think it's going to cost, but they might have seen an episode of HGTV from
which is
2008.
Not reality.
Do not
do that.
But
we were actually showcased on one of those HGTV shows.
That's awesome.
And it was for someone that already built a custom home with us. They were walking into the house like it was their first time seeing it.
Oh wow!
After we did an 8-month build with them.
That's awesome.
That's funny.
And where was that?
It was like my lottery show.
And $130 a foot, but that was 2013.
Oh gosh, right.
I'm like $130.
Don't say that.
I know. Mike will kill you. That was for you. But I do think I'm using right now as an average figure that I'm seeing about $200 a foot. So if someone comes to me, because I'm trying to get them a number so they know, like, let's start with this baseline to get pre-qualified. Is that kind of in an average enough space where it's going to give a good enough start? I mean, I wouldn't want to start somebody at a place where they could go and then they're looking at, well, that's all Home Depot fixtures and track home fixtures. It's not going to be a true custom, but 200 gets them a starting place for it, right? For most houses.
What I always tell people, and yes, that's $1 million question, is what's your price per foot? And so we do have standards that we try to abide by, but everyone is different. They're looking for different things. What I don't want to do, the big part of this is education up front and getting us involved early, because then I can get a feel for you guys and see what type of finish outs you're wanting, what sets us apart, on doing things like foundation. What are we doing that's different than those builders over there? You know what I mean? So we do a lot of things that go above and beyond. So, I build houses that are at $200 a foot, and I build houses that are $400 a foot. So,
and it's all about it. Really, it seems to be the big. The only time I've had problems with clients, for me at least, that stay involved, that go through this build process. I think that's the key. It's like if they if when they picture what hardwood floors look like to them, is that what you imagine? Is that what you budgeted for?
Right,
and having that time and spending that time. And if they're remote, how hard is it for them to really get an idea for what those selections look like?
And I honestly think it's education. It's like
Yeah.
it's our job, y'all's job, to educate the consumer, because a lot of people just don't know.
Yeah.
Well, and a lot of people, the custom home build is a lot to take on.
Yeah.
But the specs you offer are a great option and a more affordable option. Am I wrong?
No.
Sometimes to
yeah.
just because some people don't like the stress and they can't see the
Vision.
creativity
Yeah.
of building a home. So buying one of your spec homes is going to be a better fit for them.
Yeah.
And that's 100% correct. That's why we do specs, and because
Absolutely.
there's a market for every type of person.
Absolutely.
The people that are going to do complete customs are probably, they looked at a couple houses and they said, you know what, I want
wanna
it
do
the
my
way I
own.
want it.
Yep.
And
Personal touches.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
And that's what we're here for. We're the professionals. That's our job, is to provide them with those resources. And that's why we have software that we've invested in so that these out-of-town buyers can access it and see updates and pictures and schedules
Right.
and daily updates at a click of a button in their login.
I think that's the unfortunate thing, is most people don't have something else to compare it to. I run into a few people that have built one custom home before, maybe.
Yeah.
But I think that's kind of one of the advantages that I see. There's a variety of custom builders. Some of them build 2 or 3 houses a year, a dozen houses a year. How many houses are you guys building, or how many did you build? What's your projection, I guess, for this year?
Well, last year we did about 75 homes, between our customs and specs. So we're, when it comes to pricing, you mentioned price per foot. We're a large custom home builder. So, at 75 houses, if I build multi-million-dollar homes, and I also build homes that start at 600,000. So, I have buying power with that. So if you try to go build your own home, you're not going to get the same pricing I do.
Right.
On the back end. So
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Do y'all have any other questions on building? And what else do y'all run into out there when you have people that start looking? I mean, usually somebody that they get fed up with, gosh, I can't believe prices are this much here, or that's this is so expensive.
Just like you touched on, they want something specific, and we can't find that, and it's going to take them $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 to make it to what they want. So why don't they just start from ground zero and make it what they want from the beginning? So
exactly.
Yeah.
Even with lots, I have a lot of people that come in and they look at a couple lots and they think they're getting a great deal on this lot that's $15,000 less, but we didn't get involved until after they bought it, and it's going to take $70,000 worth of dirt work because there's gas lines that run through. It needs retaining walls. It needs
everything.
200 loads of dirt.
And I think a huge need for moving to Texas is buyers that want to purchase land, property, 2 acres, 5 acres, 10 acres, unrestricted, but they want to hire a trusted builder to come in and build that dream home here.
100%.
They don't want the deed restrictions or HOA, and
they want the horses.
It's hard to find.
Well, and I think, again, going back, that being a town you can wrap your, Parker County,
absolutely.
Fort Worth, like all these builders that work out here, when something goes wrong with one of them, every single one of them finds out about it. Everybody knows, and that's a good thing. And between that and us as a bank protecting, it's very important. It's like the foundation of a good queso, right?
That is exactly. Y'all need
Let's
to
talk-
enjoy.
Already eaten it.
Yes.
Let's talk about the foundation of this queso. We've got cheese, brisket,
a little
avocado,
Yes.
The
brisket.
cilantro. There's some more cilantro in there. Yes.
something red. It could be a bell pepper.
Yeah.
I think it's got all the essentials. So
Y'all need to enjoy.
That's a craft cheese. That's not your Velveeta crock pot cheese. That's craft cheese. That's custom home cheese,
That's right.
so to
good.
speak. If
That's
a
a good
house was to be
comparison.
made
That's
of
true.
cheese, that's
Yeah.
what you want to made of.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
So enjoy.
Yes, I'm going to.
Yeah.
And then, you know what we got to do next? We're going to dive back into some more Yellowstone lure.
Oh, yes we are. Maybe some Beth Dutton.
After we get to the bottom of this here queso, and I mean to the bottom of it, I mean literally
The
scraping
bottom
the
of
bottom
it,
of it
yes.
until the chips are breaking into
Yes.
pieces, and we get a little bit of our fingers touching it, and then we'll
Yes.
go. Let's call.
Maybe. Yep.
All right, let's move on.
Yep.
Now, Beth Dutton, again, there's a version, a Texas version of feminism. Might not be look the same as a strong women type up north or whatever. But being that Beth Dutton, let's say I'm married to a Beth Dutton type.
Sure.
I do something wrong, house gets blown up, burned down. This is Brian.
Yep.
Brian McCoy.
Goosehead or insurance.
He's going to talk about how to get Beth Dutton insurance, so to speak. So,
Yes.
Maybe car.
Yeah.
Right,
Maybe a little bit
No,
of everything. Yeah.
100%. Like, so, purchasing a home is your biggest, one of your biggest purchases, your assets. You will make sure it's protected. One thing I always strive to do, you want to make sure you're going for, because not all insurance policies are created equally, right? If somebody calls up insurance agent and says, hey, I just, give me your best price, give me your cheapest insurance policy. Well, you get what you pay for, right? Yeah. So in your case, let's say, Beth Dutton blows up a house, God forbid, but if you have basic insurance policy, then it may not be fully covered. Your contents may not be covered. So you always want to go with an all risk policy, which is what 99% of all homeowners have. That just means you're covered for everything that could happen besides a few things that aren't covered on any home insurance. So very important to go with an all-risk policy and shop your options all the time. And that's another thing that flood insurance is a completely separate insurance than homeowners insurance. So your homeowners insurance is only covering your plumbing leaks that could happen inside the house. Flood is from outside weather events, completely separate. So yes, if you're in a floodplain, a high-risk flood zone, the rates are you're going to have to get flood insurance, especially if you're purchasing a home going through a mortgage. And the rates can be, anywhere from $1,200 to $2,000 for a flood insurance policy. Yeah. And that didn't include your home insurance, So it's just one of those, you really want to just try to be diligent as early on as possible to run your flood zone, run your clue, get an idea of the cost, and then at the end of the day, they can make the determination if that's something they want to move forward with.
And when you're talking, like the numbers that I'm seeing, would you say it's safe to say that it's kind of like, what is causing the increase in rates? I mean, it's about a 25 or 30% increase in premiums.
Sometimes more.
Sometimes more.
Yeah.
But I think it also is something that we see as probably being temporary.
It is. So
it should take some time, but it's what has caused this more temporary influx and increase in insurance?
So you remember Snowmageddon back in 21?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so
Snows in Texas?
COVID, really affected the entire world. So it's been like this snowball effect to where we're at now. So COVID, of course, supply chain issues, all this different stuff, and then we get out of COVID. Now we're having Snowmageddon. That was the biggest insurance, event in Texas history.
Right.
I mean, people in Galveston were having busted pipes from freezing.
Right. For the first time, probably.
Yes.
And so every single company, client was affected by that. And now you pair that with year in and year out, DFW is ground zero for wind and hail claims.
Yeah.
I mean, we almost make up 50% of the nation's hail claims right here in DFW.
Don't let that deter you from buying here. Just to be clear,
It's not.
still worth it.
Yes.
Yeah.
But don't, that's a reason why. In insurance markets will go from what they call a soft market to a hard market. And this happens every so often, and we're in the hard market now. And what happens is these insurance companies have to kind of reset, pull back, and be like, all right, they'll not take on as much new business, raise rates, because what's happened is they've all been paying out massive amounts of claims dollars, and then the premiums collected is not, the gap is wide.
Yeah.
They're trying to close that gap.
Yep.
So once that happens, they're all going to be back ready to take on new business. You'll see rates drop, you'll see discounts and things like that. So,
Yep. That makes sense.
It's the only things that it's temporary. Although hard markets for insurance are intense, they're only temporary. So we'll get through it.
Well, and I think, like you describing it reminds me of watching Tasha make that craft cocktail. So when you talk about craft cocktail, it's like when you see how many steps, you're like, how does a bartender do that 80 times a night? That's unbelievable. There was a lot that went into that, including a flamethrower was involved in that.
I was a little worried that she had that in her hands. I was like, oh.
Yes.
People would be upset if I was here on Saturday night.
I know. Yeah, I don't think that should be like a fondue item where you just get to operate your own blowtorch on. I support it though.
Yeah.
But I do think it's a great way of thinking. Like your insurance is like a craft cocktail.
Yeah.
And some of them are going to be expensive for a while. So it's just what it is. But you need to plan for it up front, because the way that I know on my side of the house that we have estimated to say, yes, you're pre-qualified.
Yeah.
If your banker isn't paying attention to local, what's happening locally, which is ground zero, like you call it.
And if you don't have a local broker that you live locally, so you know all of the ins and outs of this area.
Not get your insurance quotes online.
No,
oh my God.
No, Tasha, I'm glad you said that,
my God, that makes me
because
really
number one, you're not talking to a human.
Right.
They're selling
What,
your data
AI?
because after
Yeah.
you run that quote online, you're going to be getting inundated, mail, text, emails from every company wanting to sell you a policy. Oh, they're going to tell you they can give you this rate, but how do they know? You haven't talked
Exactly.
to anybody. So it's always important to work with an agent, somebody that has options, knows the market, knows what companies are competitive in the area.
And it's local.
It is local, absolutely.
Your local.
But you always want to make sure you're getting a full replacement cost policy.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have to be very careful, especially where we live. We deal with hail. It's just something that we deal with.
And Snowmageddon.
Yeah,
Occasionally.
Occasionally
you want,
tornado.
the two things you always want to make sure we're insured against wind and hail and water coverage. So the two biggest claims in Texas. So make sure we have replacement costs on our roof, home, personal property, and if we make sure we have the extra water damage coverage because not all water coverages come built into home insurance.
Yep.
And replacement costs.
Yeah.
Key word means that house burns to the ground because of Beth Dutton. She blows up the whole house. If you don't have replacement cost covers, not just enough to cover the mortgage, in other words, but to replace that house. That's what you're insuring for.
Yep.
Okay.
Well, we appreciate you.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for all
Yeah,
the
thank you very much.
information. Yeah.
Yes.
And you're our preferred.
Yes. Absolutely.
All right, so we've made the compelling argument for why someone should move to Fort Worth. What's some things that they might love that make this a town worth, being in, that separates it maybe from the rest of other Texas cities like Dallas or other cities that are great cities in their own right, but they don't have this.
Life's too short to live in Dallas.
It is. Don't Dallas or Fort Worth.
I got to work with some Dallas people too.
I
work with
do
some
too.
Dallas
When I
people,
moved
too.
from
We love you
California,
too.
Love
Yes.
you, Dallas.
moved from California.
Yes.
We started in Dallas. We got here as soon as we could. Okay. All right. All that aside.
Yes.
So you decide on Fort Worth. What are some reasons besides the queso that they would love moving to Fort Worth
Maybe
from an
margaritas?
investment? Well, yes, but
Okay.
the investment. What is going on in the housing market here? Let's talk about just some stats and figures that they're going to want to know. We'll of course bombard the comment section with all the other details, but what are some numbers that you think stand out?
Well, we have a ton of out-of-state buyers moving here. California, New Jersey, Virginia, all of those people are moving down to Texas. Our median house price is under $350,000. It's much lower than any other state. So that is part of the reason we have a lot of people moving here. Gosh.
And
No income tax.
No income
we do
tax.
No
have
state income tax here.
Yeah.
No
and
state income tax.
Texas culture really is about live your own life.
Yeah.
YOLO. We do
Yep.
live it here.
Yep.
And, stay tuned because next time we're going to feature the Westroplex.
Yeah.
That means Parker County, Wise County, Hood County, Johnson County.
County,
maybe.
yeah.
Joko?
Yeah.
Joko?
Yeah, baby. And
And it may have some horses, boats, who knows what's up
jet
next.
skis.
So stay
air.
tuned.
Yeah.
And make sure to follow all of our socials.
That's
So what's
right.
yours?
Mine's that you can find me at the Cowtown Banker.
And 2 girls and a sold sign.
That's us.
There you go. Yeah, I think I love one thing you said that I don't want to miss. You said something when we were talking about this, which is that I feel like Texas, the spirit of independence that's here,
Yes.
is a
Stay
place
in your
where
lane.
you get there. Because guess what? There's plenty of room for everybody's lane in Texas. You just have to
Yes.
stay in your own, and you're going to be just
we
fine.
are independent, open-minded,
I love it.
and we like to be friendly.
Yes.
But we like to be left alone.
And I hope that if you come here, I think if you wait to buy your first pair of boots, your first cowboy hat, I have no business wearing a cowboy hat. But the reality is, you buy into the culture. You make this turn from a place you work or a place you got a job.
Place you live and love.
That's right. And
Yeah.
go home. And make it a home.
And
So
make sure you wave.
Yes.
That's right.
Friendly.
Exactly.
Hi.
All right. So y'all come down to Fort Worth and y'all give us a call. Let us help you out. Thank you for tuning in.
Bye, y'all.